In the small village of Bethany, nestled among the hills near Jerusalem, lived a family who were especially close to Jesus. Lazarus, along with his sisters Mary and Martha, were not just acquaintances, they were dear friends to him. Their home was a place where Jesus could find rest, comfort, and genuine companionship, away from the crowds and demands of his ministry. Whenever Jesus visited, their home was filled with warmth, laughter, and heartfelt conversation. Mary, Martha, and Lazarus welcomed him with open arms, offering food, kindness, and a sense of belonging. It was a place where he could simply be among friends, sharing stories and moments of peace. But one day, everything changed. Lazarus suddenly became gravely ill. His sisters watched over him anxiously, tending to his every need. But his condition only worsened. Fear and worry filled the house as they realized how serious his illness had become. Desperate for help, Mary and Martha sent an urgent message to Jesus, hoping he would come quickly. Their note was simple but heartfelt. "Lord, the one you love is sick." They believed that if Jesus came, he could heal their brother. When Jesus received the message, he surprised everyone by staying where he was for 2 more days. He told his disciples, "This sickness will not end in death, but is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it." His words were mysterious, and his delay was difficult to understand. Meanwhile, Mary and Martha waited anxiously, watching Lazarus grow weaker with each passing hour. Their hope began to fade as the days went by, and Jesus still had not arrived. The sisters clung to each other, praying for a miracle. At last, the unthinkable happened. Lazarus died, and their home was plunged into deep grief and sorrow. Friends and neighbors gathered to mourn with Mary and Martha, sharing in their heartbreak and loss. The sisters had reached out to Jesus, trusting in his love and power, but he hadn't come in time. Their hearts were heavy with sadness, wondering why their friend had not arrived when they needed him most. After 2 days, Jesus turned to his disciples and said, "Let's go back to Judea." The disciples exchanged uneasy glances, remembering the dangers that awaited them there, but Jesus was resolute, his eyes set on a purpose they could not yet understand. He told them, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep. I'm going to wake him." The disciples, puzzled, wondered if Lazarus was simply resting and would recover on his own. They didn't realize that Jesus was speaking about death, not ordinary sleep. The weight of the situation hadn't yet dawned on them. Lazarus was gone. Jesus explained plainly, "Lazarus is dead, and for your sake I'm glad I was not there, so that you may believe." With that, they set out for Bethany, each step heavy with questions and anticipation. When they finally arrived, the reality was undeniable. Lazarus had been in the tomb for 4 days. The grief in the village was palpable, and hope seemed all but lost. Martha, Lazarus' sister, ran to meet Jesus outside the village. Her heart was heavy with sorrow and longing. She cried out, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Yet, through her tears, she added, "But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask." Her faith flickered, fragile but alive, even in the midst of her pain. Even in her grief, Martha clung to hope, refusing to let despair have the final word. She believed that something was still possible even now. She didn't know it yet, but Jesus was about to change everything, not just for Lazarus, but for everyone who would ever hear this story of hope and resurrection. Jesus told Martha, "Your brother will rise again." Martha replied, "I know he will rise at the resurrection on the last day." Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me will live, even though they die." Do you believe this? Martha believed, but her pain was real. Mary came to Jesus, weeping. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Seeing their sorrow, Jesus was deeply moved, and he wept. The Son of God shared their grief. Jesus arrived at the tomb, a solemn cave carved into the rocky hillside, its entrance sealed tightly with a massive stone. The air was heavy with grief and anticipation as friends and mourners gathered around, their faces etched with sorrow and hope. With a voice of authority, Jesus declared, "Take away the stone." The command echoed through the crowd, stirring confusion and disbelief among those present. Martha, Lazarus' sister, hesitated, her voice trembling as she protested. She was deeply concerned about the odor, for her brother had been dead for 4 days. The reality of loss weighed heavily on her heart. Jesus looked at her with compassion and gently reminded her, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" His words offered reassurance, inviting faith in the face of despair. With effort and uncertainty, the people rolled away the heavy stone, exposing the darkness within the tomb. A hush fell over the crowd as they waited, breathless and anxious. Jesus lifted his eyes and prayed aloud, thanking God for hearing him. Then, with a powerful voice that carried across the hillside, he called out, "Lazarus, come out!" To the astonishment of everyone watching, Lazarus appeared at the entrance, alive, still wrapped in strips of burial cloth. The impossible had happened before their very eyes. Jesus instructed, "Take off the grave clothes and let him go." Friends rushed forward, unwrapping Lazarus, freeing him from the bindings of death. In that moment, tears of sorrow were transformed into shouts of joy and celebration. The crowd embraced, overwhelmed by the miracle they had witnessed. Through this incredible act, Jesus revealed himself as the source of hope and life, demonstrating a love and power that conquers even the finality of death.